I think I will kind of park the word structure on the right hand side because structure triggers many legends and symbols. So I'd like to say, is there a way to learn futuring? The answer is a loud yes. And you also talked about other simple techniques. Absolutely simple organic techniques, very possible. Is there a structured way? No, there is a step-by-step, linear, circular process. Much like the way, is there a structured way to childbirth? Every child is unique and there is a birth. At a broad level, there is a structure. So my short answer is, most certainly, as a senior executive, futuring as an art can be learned. And at the same time, there is a lot of unlearning that's going to happen. When I say a lot of unlearning, that we're all so used to doing things one way. And especially when we get better at it, the danger of repetition makes us harder neurons and harder connections. So to me, yes, you can learn futuring. If I may use a word, you also need to unlearn a lot of fasting. So it's going to be learning futuring and unlearning a lot. And most certainly, there are many techniques and processes. If you're a part of the program, you would be able to learn. So with this pedagogical approach, I'd like to pass this question on to Manoj for him to answer this as well.
You're leaving me nothing new to say, Gopi. I'll try. I couldn't agree more with Gopi's answer. Yes, the answer to Ruchita's question is yes, if we're willing to tweak our definition of an understanding of the word structure a little bit. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. There is a way to learn, because it's a discipline that's being offered at the master's level at universities. Only a couple so far that I know of, at least. One is in Hawaii. So for those of you who want a master's degree in Hawaii, you can get a futuring degree at the University of Hawaii. So it is being taught. But to follow up on Gopi's observation about the structure, it's not the kind of structure that people have expected, especially in the context of strategy or planning or innovation, in the sense of there's a predetermined sequence of steps, and if you follow that, you're guaranteed some sort of outcome. This process of futuring, if you will, because it is participatory, because it places such an emphasis on sensing, and it's a very Zen-like state of being in that moment, in that process, wherever you are, and not looking too far ahead. Yeah. So in that sort of a process, what typically happens in my experience of leading these kinds of programs is the group will absolutely have a cogent way of stepping into the next step. The next step may not have been what was on paper when you announced the process, at the very beginning, but it will be an absolute group decision. It will make sense. They can explain to you the rationale of why they're taking this next step. It just may be very different because of what they've discovered in the previous step. That will determine where you go. So there's not a predetermined sequence of steps saying like, okay, after 2, we always do 3 because that's the way it works. This is such a live exercise because you brought more people into it, and people who've never been in kinds of planning things before. So you have to allow for their inputs changing the entire conversation, and you have to be prepared for that. And sometimes being prepared for that means you'll take a step, that doesn't conform to any normal definition of structure. Having said that, the more creative people in the room, people who've either worked with artists or other creative professions, they'll recognize this process or structure perfectly. It's just a different kind of structure. It's how artists and creative people work. They absolutely have a process, but it's not a very linear one that sort of engineers are used to, let's say.